you all, our guest Mr. Deepak Rastogi, President and Group CFO at Tata Autocomp Systems Limited. Sir, in the past has worked as a CFO and business partner with extensive exposure of handling tax, treasury, legal entity and technology center. Sir has diverse international experience in bearings, steels, chemicals, telecom, technology and lubricants industry in terms of manufacturing, trading, services, retails and consumer organization. Sir has handled 1 billion US dollars of business activity across Asia in a diverse and complex business environment. Sir has a proven track record of success in building strategies, plan, process to manage high-paced growth. Sir has also served as a board of directors in listed and private companies. He has also been a supervisor for one of the Chinese entities and a special invitee to the board of joint ventures in China. The real journey will now begin with Sir enlightening us with the words of wisdom. Sir, the podium is all yours. Thank you.
I work for a company called Tata Autocomp, and we manufacture auto components for passenger cars. So if you have traveled in Innova, any Tata car, for that matter, BM cars, Ford cars, and for even commercial vehicles. So we actually manufacture auto components. We are a group of almost $600 million company. We have 15 business units, and we manufacture mirrors, batteries, axles, seats, interiors and things like that, right? So that is what it is. Prior to that, I was working in China for 5 years, and Timken, actually I used to work for Timken, and that was a steel and a bearing company. So I had an international experience in China, in US, and I worked across Asian countries, all, be it Japan, Singapore, Australia, Thailand, Middle East. So I've got a lot of experience from that perspective. So to start, I'm a chartered accountant and also an MBA from SPJAM. So what I'll do is that I will give you some tips, because most of the guys, and I was actually coming with Jaya and Mohit, and they were asking, what's the key thing, how you can succeed in life, right? Because that is one of the questions which you always have, right? Do you have it or no? Yes, sir. Okay. So one thing you should understand is that, and this is a Harvard study, which was done sometimes in 1938, just to see, and this was conducted on Harvard students for 75 years, over a period of 75 years. And the study was that what makes somebody successful and happy, and what makes not so successful. So this may not, you may not, it may be coming as a surprise to you, but money and power does not bring you happiness and successfulness. That is, and you can actually Google Grant study, and what it says is that if you have a good relationship and a healthy relationship, you would eventually succeed, and that is what the study talks about. And this is not what I'm saying, but you can Google it at your pace, and you can see yourself, who would have succeeded. So the other thing is that please do not take things as for granted. You have to really work your way out. Please do not take any shortcuts in life. And I know that there are a lot of SMSs, WhatsApp, which is obviously available now. People don't want to even write the full words, but that's not what the real life is all about. You cannot be successful unless and until you have actually gone through the full letter. And the chances of disaster, if you shortcut it, are far more higher. So that is the second one. The third thing is, when I actually came out from college and I joined multinational companies, so I joined Castrol and then DuPont, and that was my first international experience. And whenever there used to be people from other countries and we had discussions, I would give obviously some kind of synopsis or a derivative saying that this makes sense from a result perspective. And there will be a lot of other options which will come on the table, and I never used to like it, because my solution was very good, and people are still deliberating whether we should go with this option or the other option. And one thing which I learned the hard way, and I can tell you that there is no single solution to a problem. There will always be multiple options, and you have to work with it, you have to accept for it. And when you go into the corporate organizations and things like that, you would realize it. When you are working in a diverse group, somebody is coming from finance, somebody is coming from marketing, somebody coming from operations, you would definitely find that they would have a very, very different solution for the problem which you have. And you may like it, you may not like it, but at the end of the day, the most efficient or productive solution actually gets. So you have to always work for the solution, not for yourself, to be successful. Say everybody works very hard, obviously, for their dreams to come true. Take care of your relationships, because if you are not taking care of your relationships, your family, your health, I can tell you, you can continue to work, but these are very, very small things. There is always more than what the work is. There is always more than the study you do. So you have to enjoy the life at the fullest. Just don't, take it away from yourself. Since you are in college, I can see almost how many, 300 students right here. And so college actually provides you two things. One is the study, which, getting the competency built in. But one more thing which actually college provides, which at least I did not realize till the time I was in college. And the second thing which gives you is the networking. That so many students go out from the college. Everybody would eventually be working, somewhere in the world or within India. And you have to keep networking with the groups and things like that for you to be successful going forward. And that was the one thing which I never utilized it. And I actually realized the importance now when you actually meet up over a period of time and you need help. And if I would have networked, obviously it becomes a very, very different story altogether. So the other thing which I would say is that in terms of your when you are getting into a corporate environment, you feel sometimes, I'm just doing, nobody's really watching me. And, there are no supervisors, there are supervisors, but at times you feel like you are independent. Even if I do something wrong, that should be okay. It's like, in a mid of a midnight, you are standing in a signal and you are still doing it. So the first thing you have to understand, being a finance professional, because most of you are actually from finance background here, so I would say please make sure that you do not do something which is wrong, because you would be the custodians of the company's assets. So if you do something wrong, obviously the whole world is watching you. And there are so many scams which are actually the arisen from the finance professionals. So I can name so many, but Satyam was one of them, which I'm sure that you would have heard about it. WordCom was the other, and Enron was the third, and I can actually go on and go on. So please understand one thing, you have to always do right things even though nobody is watching you. And that only you will be able to create your own brand value. The other thing which I would say, especially, whichever function you are in, you always have to sell yourself as a candidate. If you are not able to do it from your perspective, you would, even though you may be doing a very good job, but you will not get actually in the limelight unless and until you know how to market yourself. So the more marketable you are, or the brand value you have, the better off you become actually. So one thing you realize, irrespective of which function you belong to, but you have to have the marketing and selling skills within the organizations, within the peers, within your friends, which basically makes you more marketable. There was one question when I was sitting outside and they were asking, what's very important? And I said, hard work and attitude. So it doesn't matter whether you are intelligent or not. It does not actually give you a success. Even if you are intelligent, and I'm sure everybody has read a story that always the tortoise has been, never rabbit has been. And the reason why rabbit has not been is rabbit is the lazy guy, creature, and a tortoise is always a hard working, even though it may be slower. So if you are intelligent, don't think so that you have a passport for success. Yes, it does give you an edge, but it does not guarantee you the success in career. Very, very sure. So you have to work hard, and you have to have a very positive attitude. Whatever comes your way, you have to accept it. The last thing which I would say is that, and then I will open up obviously for the question and answers, that rather second last thing, you need to have a mentor. And I'll tell you what mentor is all about, that the person who champions for you, so and he's on your side, and he can help you, giving you good feedbacks, whatever you need in life. I can tell you, you would actually go far more higher in your career as opposed to without a mentor. And currently, obviously, your teachers are mentors, but when you go into outside in the industry, you have to really see what are your needs, what are your questions, and based on that, you should actually choose a mentor within the industry that would tremendously help all of you. And this was one mistake, at least I did. I did not have a mentor, but in the hindsight, I always feel, if I would have a good mentor, obviously I would have a very different personality. So please make sure that when you go out in the industry working for yourself or for somebody, because you do not know everything. None of the people know everything. So what you need is a mentor who is by your side, helping you, giving you advices, and it can be industry expert, it can be your teachers, it can be your friend, it can be even your family members. But you have to really choose what you want and who can give you a right advice when you need it. The last thing is that do not get disheartened if you are not achieving the results in the career which you wanted to achieve. And the reason why it is important is, like I keep telling, because a lot of kids come to me and I say, career building is not a 100 meters race that you just win it and say I won it. Over a period of time, you will really see that who's actually going up, who's going down, and it evens out. And I'll tell you my own story. I did not want to be a chartered accountant. I'm just a chartered accountant because of chance. I wanted to be an engineer, by the way. And luck has to be like that I did not got selected any of the colleges. I had no choice but to go for my graduation in sciences, and then I did my chartered accountancy. And here I am. I don't have regrets for that. And eventually I did my MBA. I don't have regrets. But what I'm simply saying is that if I would have got depressed that day and I did not obviously got into engineering, possibly the world would have changed. So please do not take failures or successes. I know that it is obviously painful to really have failures in life, but it is just a stepping stone for another success. That's the way you should look at it, and never let down your successes or your failures coming in the way for future successes. Okay, so keep continuing to hard work, have mentors, and do not take any shortcuts. If you are able to basically do all these three things, I'm sure everybody is intelligent enough to figure out, how to succeed in life. Right? Now I just move from the general education to just purely a CFO role. And the CFO role actually has changed quite a bit. When I joined the first organization, I was only expected to do some accounting, do some tax work, and just go home. There was absolutely no requirement for look for any profitability. I was not really required to do the efficiency in the business and things like that. But now I do not exist if I do not provide efficiency in the system. So, you guys were talking about net working capital, right? In the earlier session. So how do we really, bring cash into the company? How to really get more profitable, from a P&L perspective, which is profit and loss transactions. How do we really take away certain items or transactions from the system so that we are very productive in our organization? And how do we efficiently use all our assets? That is my role. How do I sell a business? How do I include a business so that the profitability goes up? Because one of the key requirements which the CFO role plays in any organization today is to increase the shareholder value. You know what shareholder is? Do you know that?
Yes, sir.
What is shareholder?
The owners of the company.
Huh?
The owners of the company. The owners.
You're absolutely right. So, the shareholders are the owners of the company who has actually invested in your company. So, as an investor, what they would like is that you should be able to increase the value. It's like if you go to the bank and you pay, take a fixed deposit. Why you do a fixed deposit in your bank? Yeah, you want to increase the value by taking interest, right? So the same way shareholders needs dividends. So what shareholder needs are dividends. Second thing is that let's say you have bought their shares at 10 bucks, but you would find the share value goes up, right? And why it goes up? Because the company is performing, the company is making profit, obviously, it gets divided into the number of shares of the company. So that's how the share value goes up, of the company. And the more the shareholders' value goes up, obviously the shareholders are happy. If it doesn't goes up, obviously they change the CFO first, right? They say you are not good to do your job because you do not know how to manage the company. So the word has changed. The word has changed. The other thing is, apart from the shareholders' value, there is huge requirement in terms of corporate governance. There are a lot of new laws. Do you know that the tax code has changed 2 years back? Did you know that? Do you know that? Okay, so since independence, this is the first time India tax laws have changed. This is 2 years back. Last year, the Companies Act has changed since independence, which is called Companies Act 2013. Do you know that? Do you know that? Right, okay, good. Now, GST is coming in. Do you know what GST is all about? Yes, what is that? Yeah, but this is only a, yeah, what it will do for the country? Huh? Yeah, so I'll just explain that to you. So today, how many taxes do you pay? If you go to a restaurant, do you know how many taxes are there inside? Yeah. So when you will go eventually to a restaurant, you will only find a single line there as taxes. Okay, but this is only the way you actually see the bill. But the key thing is that today certain taxes are a cost. So when there is a cost, obviously the cost of the product goes up. Eventually these will be the pass-through taxes. So which means if somebody has paid, I am buying from him, I can take that credit and offset it. So my cost comes down to that extent. I will again sell my product, obviously the next person will be able to offset it and the cost doesn't goes up. in the developed market, it has been proven that if GST is actually rolled out in any country, generally the cost of product comes down between 1 to 2%. Okay, so that is what we are also thinking, but we will see when the actually law comes in. And the last thing is that the accounting standards are about to change next year for the country. So I am not sure whether you know that, but there is IFRS. So currently the country uses Indian GAAP, which is generally accounting accepted practices, that will get replaced with IFRS, which is international reporting standards, which would actually come in. Okay, so there are a lot of changes which has happened, and the CFO of the company is or has to make sure that the company is compliant with everything, whatever from a country perspective, that they are compliant. And I have to report out as a CFO, I have to report out to the board saying that everything is good from a compliance perspective. And if I say it is not good, what would happen? That some of the directors, or including me, will go to jail. It is as rigorous as that. So please don't think the CFO positions comes just with money but it comes with a lot of responsibility, and there is huge responsibility, and the CEO and CFO can actually go to jail. I'm not sure how many of you realize it, but it's a very, very responsible position in a company. Okay, so having said that, now tell me, what are your questions? Do you have any questions, or you don't have questions? Everything got answered in the previous sessions. Do you have any questions? So I will ask you a question now. Okay? If you don't ask me, then I'll ask you a question. Tell me one thing. You guys were discussing about net working capital. Is that good to borrow money in a company, or not good to borrow money in the company? It increases the profitability? So who has the answer? So you think every company should borrow money? Why? Why do you think the company should not borrow money? Okay, the second question, and I'll answer, don't worry about all these questions. Is that good that your working capital should be positive or should be negative? So what is the right, what do you think, if it is a positive working capital it is good, or it is negative working capital is good? Negative working capital is good? Okay. Yeah, somebody is saying positive also is good. Okay, I'll give you the differences why it is good and bad. I'll answer the first question. So I was asking whether borrowing is good for the company or not, right? That was one of the questions I asked. So the answer is borrowing is always good for the company. Okay, and I'll give you the answer why. Do you know what is the cost of borrowing in India? What is the cost of borrowing? Okay, so I'll tell you, the PLR rate currently in India is around, the banks, means the Fed banks. RBI lends at around 7.25% to the banks. The banks generally lend, their cost is around 9.8 or 9.75%. So most of the corporates which having a very good there is a rating which is called a CRISIL rating in India or ICRA rating. So having a higher rating can borrow somewhere around 10 to 11%. That is the kind of borrowing cost. Okay. Now, if you were to go to your shareholders, how much dividends you have to pay, you know that. Obviously, it depends upon the industry, but mostly the shareholders' expectation from their companies are that the company should pay between 15 to 20% as dividend. So what is the higher cost then for you? Dividend is a higher cost. So what happens is that if you have lesser shareholders' money, but you have slightly more leveraging on the borrowing side, your cost of funds actually come down because of simply averaging, right? So it is always good to borrow money. And I know that, when you will talk to the banks, or rather you want to, think for yourself, obviously people think, borrowing yourself is not a good thing. It is a good thing till the time you understand that you will be able to repay the financials, or the principal amount on time. If you think you do not have the capability, then borrowing is not a good option, let me tell you that. Only shareholders, funds are a good option. If the company has no capability to get the cash back, borrowing is not a good option because, the assets are charged and, the bank will take away the money. Second question which I asked was that whether a negative or a positive working capital is good. I'll tell you, from a bank perspective, they always want you to work on a positive working capital, which means your assets are higher than the liabilities. That's how you get positive working capital. However, for the company, it's always good that you always operate on a negative working capital, which means that your assets are lower than your liabilities. What would happen is that you are actually using your creditors' money to run your business. So you are employing less capital into the business of your own. You are able to churn the money, quite quickly, and you can earn with less money more than what the other companies are doing it. So that is a very, very different dynamics. The answer will change when you will talk from one CFO to another CFO depending upon which company or the industry the CFO works. But I can tell you, I come from auto industry, and negative working, you cannot actually, sustain the business without a negative working capital. You will die your own death. As simple as that. And you have to damn very brutal that you get the money from your customers first and you pay the vendors later. That is the simple, way the business works. Otherwise, you will die your own death. And one of the things which I have is that I have to actually increase the shareholder value. So unless until I am able to employ less capital and generate more, obviously it's not good, from my perspective. Okay. Do you know what is the difference between the assets? Do you guys know? Huh? Why do you have fixed assets and why do you have current assets, and what is the difference? So, okay, somebody said current assets are for short duration of time, fixed assets long last. But I'll tell you the difference between the two. Current assets are which you are utilizing in your business within 1 year time frame. So you are putting the assets to use within 1 year. However, the fixed assets are wherein you are able to utilize it over a period of time, which means the life can be 1 year and it can last for 100 years. So you invest in land, it will continue to do that, right? Do you know land, which asset has a depreciation, which asset does not have a depreciation? Which asset does not have a depreciation? Good. So you are an intelligent crowd, right? So that's good. Very good. Okay, now ask questions to me. Do you have questions? So tell me one thing, which industry you would like to go? So somebody said telecom, the other guy said, and look, I have worked, okay, I can tell you, I have worked in most of the industry. So I have worked in Alcatel Lucent, I have worked in the chemical industry, which is DuPont and Castrol. I worked in a steel and bearing company which is Timken. I have also worked in yarn or synthetic. I have worked with Raymond. So, if you have any questions regarding, and I am continuing to work in auto industry now. So if you have anything, any questions from any industry, I have also handled IT, I have also handled the services piece. So if you have any questions, something is obviously bugging your mind, any industry for that matter, you can actually open up and ask any questions. Not just related to finance, but any aspect, whether it is HR, operations, anything. So no questions? It seems like the institute is actually taking care of the students very widely, Is that correct? Yes, sir. Good. Okay, so in telecom, what do you understand in telecom then? What is that you would do? 2G, 3G, 4G. Okay. So what is the difference between a 3G and a 4G? That is the only difference, the speed and the spectrum. Okay. So I'll tell you the differences, which actually are the differences. So in 2G, when you only had a simple phone, wherein you are able to just message it and phone, which means voice and a little bit of data, right? So that was how it was 2G. In 3G, actually you can download videos and things like that. You can do that. With the new concept which is coming, you can watch even TV also. So that is how it is called 2G, 3G and 4G, because you have all in one, effectively. And that is the concept. Apart from the, obviously, you need a different bandwidth, you need a different spectrum. It is more government determined, not actually, it's not technology. It is like, how you allocate like where it should run. Like for military purposes, they would have different bandwidth and spectrum and things like that. But predominantly, this is the difference. Tell me one thing, which is the most used technology in the world, GSM or CDMA? Which is the more advanced technology? Yeah, so CDM actually is much more advanced, and GSM is far more easy to use it, and that is where GSM has become much more popular. But obviously the base is actually CDMA. That is the technology. So which other industry you would like to go apart from telecom? Yes.
Manufacturing.
Manufacturing. Yes. Yes, पूछिए ना.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, it has been witnessed that in manufacturing sector, finance personnel sees a lesser growth comparative to other sectors. So can you put a number?
I can throw actually huge amount of light. I can talk 1 hour on that. So the reason is, I'll tell you, and it depends upon, there are a couple of reasons. The manufacturing sector is down, or rather started going down, when there are 2 or 3 key factors. One is that, do you recollect still the financial downturn which happened in US? Everybody knows that about it or not? Yes? Okay. So 2008, what has happened is that there was a financial downturn because of the financial services issue across the world, predominantly originating from US, but then it spread the wings in Europe. At that point in time, Asia, especially India and China, were slightly aloof from that particular problem. And the reason was that China had some problem because they were exporting to the US. But India did not have a problem at that point in time, because the economy actually is more of we are consuming the products which we actually manufacture. But what has happened is that the economic growth in the world has remained sluggish, especially Europe has still not come up. It's still limping back to normalcy. US has shown some signs of improvement for the last 2 quarters, I would say. But the challenge which the world has started facing is the BRICS countries, which is Brazil, India, Russia and China. So Brazil is not doing well. Russia has gone for a toss because of so much of issues internally as well as from an economic perspective. China, it has actually slowed down quite a bit, even though it is actually increasing, or the growth is there by 7%, but actually it is very low as compared to the China standard. China used to grow like 12 to 13%. India has a problem more of policy paralysis in the previous government because of the decisions not being taken early on. It has actually impacted the industry. However, with Modi's government coming in, we thought the things will actually be better off. But somehow, the things are still delayed. So we are still waiting. Achhe din aane wale hain, but abhi aaye nahi hai. So that is the story of manufacturing. And what happens is, if the infrastructure piece kicks in India, that's where you would start actually seeing a lot of growth in India. The other thing is that a lot of people are banking on the lower interest rates. The interest rates have gone because of inflation. The interest rates have even touched like 12, 13, 14%. For which, if you do a new investment, the new investment will never be viable. You will not be able to make money at all. So none of the people are actually investing in new projects. Everybody is holding up and they are waiting for the good times to come in. Okay? Does this answer the question? Good. Any other question? Yes. So if there are no questions, can I say thank you then? Good. Thank you so much for your wonderful audience. Okay?
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with the tips for being a successful person, for especially emphasizing on work-life balance, importance of networking, acquiring marketing skills, irrespective of what background you belong to, and importance of a mentor to achieve success.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Colonel Bharat Jingan to present memento to Mr. Deepak Rastogi.